very good evening and thank you for joining GBS News at 9. My name is Stephen George and our sign language interpreter tonight is Paul Mathenge. And now, Justice Mohammed Noor has been cleared of all allegations leveled against him by tribunal that was investigating his conduct. The tribunal, formed in April 2024, has recommended his reinstatement to the Environment and Land Court. This comes after it found that accusations of incompetence, misconduct, and breaching judicial conduct regulations were not substantiated to the required extent.
A tribunal investigating Justice Mohammed Noor Kulo has cleared him of all allegations leveled against him. The tribunal, which was formed in April 2024, has recommended that Kulo be reinstated to the Environment and Land Court. The tribunal, chaired by Court of Appeal Judge Patrick Kiage, found that the 13 allegations against the judge, which include incompetence, misconduct, and breaching judicial conduct regulations, were not sustained to the required extent. In its report, the tribunal stated that after reviewing all the evidence and considering the applicable law, the allegations had not been proven. Following this, the tribunal has unanimously recommended that Justice Kulo be reinstated to his position as judge of the Environment and Land Court.
Sections 1, 2, 3, 12, and 13 were not established. There was delay, but it was satisfactorily explained with reasonable justification and thus did not amount to gross misconduct. Allegation 4 was not substantiated. Reasons were not recorded or forwarded to the Honorable Chief Justice, but the omission did not amount to gross misconduct. With Article 168(7)(b) of the Constitution, we therefore, Your Excellency, recommend that Your Excellency do reinstate the Honorable Judge to the office of Judge of the Environment and Land Court.
The findings have now been submitted to the President for further action. President Ruto praised the tribunal for its efficiency and assured that its recommendation will be implemented, emphasizing that Kenya is governed by the rule of law and all citizens are protected by the Constitution.
You have discharged your responsibility in accordance with what you were presented to. And therefore, myself and the rest of the people that have a responsibility over this matter will pick it up from there and move it to the next step. The Constitution demands of me, whenever a matter like this arises, I must commend that the tribunal has discharged its responsibility with care and with utmost adherence to the provisions of the law and the Constitution, and as is required of all of us in our respective mandates. Each and every one of us has a duty to ensure that we do with a lot of integrity that which is required of us by the law.
Tizatiengo, GBS News.
The former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua on Sunday gave a promise to unleash his political party come Sunday this month. Now, the former second-in-command who made his way to Mathioya in Murang'a County stated that he is still listening to the ground and the 9th of February he'll have a big day for his followers, as Davis Karani reports.
The former second-in-command, Honorable Geoffrey Rigathi Gachagua, has promised to give a correct direction to his friends and followers on the correct political party that he will use to oust President William Ruto come 2027 general elections, and the correct party, according to Gachagua, will be unleashed on Sunday.
Tuchukue maoni kwa kila mtu na bado ninaendelea, kwa hivyo nimechelewa kidogo, lakini tariki 9 Sunday coming ndio nitakuwa na nafasi nitoe ile interim report ya yale maoni nimepata.
The ousted DP also confined the blames to himself for having made a poor decision and boarded the United Democratic Alliance vehicle without understanding the driver, after which he decided to stop and force them out before reaching to their correct destination.
We made many mistakes. Tulienda harusi na gari ya mtu mwingine, si ndio? Kufika kwa mtu akatuambia tushuke. And the new administration we are working on, our first responsibility will be to rescue the payslip. It will be to restore the dignity of the payslip and the payslip holders.
The opposition outwing is preparing and planning to jet President William Ruto out of the office come 2027, as Kalonzo Musyoka, who was in Kajiado South, stated on their call to remain united, as their unity will be determined during their elections of their presidential candidate in their newly coalition that is yet to be formed ahead of the 2027 general elections.
Kukomboa nchi inahitaji ukakamavu na sauti ya watu iwe moja, kama ya kusema Ruto must go. Yeye anasema ati yeye hajaanza kufanya campaign na anaenda kila mahali kutumia pesa za serikali kufanya campaign. Tunasema hatutamwachilia. Sisi pia tumejitokeza.
Will they manage to oust the incumbent from the office, considering the Kenya's political history?
Ruto must go.
Davis Karani, GBS News, Nairobi.
The Treasury has approved the payment of 206 billion shillings in pending bills offering relief to suppliers, mainly small and medium enterprises. Treasury CS John Badi today said the move follows a review by Pending Bills Committee, which analyzed 474 billion shillings in liabilities. The payments aim to ease financial strain and boost money circulation in the economy.
Treasury and Economic Planning Cabinet Secretary John Badi has disclosed that the Pending Bills Committee has green-lighted the payment of 206 billion Kenyan shillings worth of pending bills. This is out of the 663 billion Kenyan shillings owed by the government to suppliers, which have accumulated over time. Mbadi, speaking at a public participation forum for the Finance Bill 2025 in Nairobi, explained that the approved 206 billion Kenyan shillings was part of a larger effort to ensure that there is steady circulation of money within the economy.
The other reason why Kenyans are complaining is because you supply goods to government and they are not paid. What is called the pending bills. We subjected the pending bills, and this is not the first time we have subjected pending bills in this country, to a committee. We have always created committees. For me and the government, we have decided that this time we are going to act on the pending bills that will be certified by that pending bills committee. The total amount that went to the pending bills committee was 663 billion shillings. They have already analyzed 474 billion shillings worth of bills.
He revealed that the Pending Bills Committee had analyzed 474 billion Kenyan shillings worth of pending liabilities, ultimately approving the payment of 206 billion Kenyan shillings. Mbadi highlighted that the majority of the funds owed are to small and medium enterprises, which had supplied goods and services to government.
Directorate of Criminal Investigation has arrested 5 suspects in connection with the murder of Nakuru activist Richard Otieno, popularly known as Molo Resident. Now, authorities believe 3 of the suspects were directly involved in the killing, while the other 2 played a role in transporting them to and from the crime scene as investigations are ongoing. Fellow activists and members of the public are calling for justice for Otieno.
The Directorate of Criminal Investigations have arrested 5 suspects in relation to the murder of the prominent Nakuru activist Richard Otieno. In a statement released today, the DCA confirmed that 3 suspects, Geoffrey Mavado, John Ndegwa and Jory Msura, were directly involved in the murder, while 2 others, Clinton Simantu and Peter Mwaniki, were boda riders who transported the perpetrators to and from the crime scene. The investigation revealed that 2 of the suspects had previously been arrested for assaulting Otieno and were apprehended on November 18, 2024, and later sentenced to 1 year of probation. This previous involvement helped link the suspect to the murder, as forensic evidence placed them at the crime scene. Meanwhile, investigators from the Homicide Directorate, Crime Research and Intelligence Bureau and Operations are continuing to probe the case for further evidence and connections to the crime. Otieno's body was discovered on Sunday, January 19th, after he was allegedly hacked to death outside his home in Elbagon the night before. His death sparked protest among Molo residents who carried his body from the mortuary for a march demanding justice. Otieno was known for his activism, being a vocal critic of local political leaders in Molo and Nakuru. He had also been an aspiring ward representative for Molo constituency. As investigations continue, both fellow activists and members of the public have commended the murder, with many calling for justice for Otieno. Meanwhile, 5 chiefs were abducted by suspected Al-Shabaab militants in Mandera County on Monday. According to Northeastern Regional Commissioner John Otieno, the 5 were heading towards El-Wak when they were hijacked between Bamba Oulwa and Iras Suki. A joint security team has been deployed to pursue the abductors, with local reports indicating the chiefs were on their way to a meeting ahead of President William Ruto's visit in the region this week. President Ruto is scheduled to begin a week-long tour of Mandera, Garissa and Wajir counties, where he will assess ongoing development projects and meet with the local leadership. The authorities are working to ensure safe return of the abducted chiefs, with the situation being closely monitored. Teresa Tiengo, GBS News.
It is time for us to take a short break. Keep your feedback coming in into our social media platform at GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 21144. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
So through the 4 gospel books, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, John, we can know the heart of Jesus in depth.
그리고 우리가 느끼는 그 예수님을 성경을 통해 느낄 수 있어서 너무 감사합니다.
And the Jesus that we can feel him through the scriptures, and I'm very thankful about that. Jesus Christ came to this earth for our
죄를
sins.
지셨고,
He carried our sins,
십자가에 못 박혀 주고 죄의 형벌을 당하셨고,
and he was crucified, and he received the punishment for sins,
무덤에 들어가셨다가,
and he was put into the tomb,
사흘 만에 부활하셨습니다.
and resurrected in 3 days.
이것이 우리가 말하는 복음입니다.
This is the gospel that we speak.
예수님께 우리 죄를 위해 죽으신 이야기.
About how Jesus died for our sins. The purpose of Jesus being crucified.
우리 죄를 담당하기 위하여 십자가에 못 박혀 죽으셨습니다.
He was crucified to pay for our sins.
예수님 십자가에 못 박혀 죽으심으로 우리 죄가 분명히 씻어졌는데,
And through Jesus being crucified, clearly our sins have been washed clean.
참 안타깝게도 많은 사람은 여전히 죄인이라고 말합니다.
However, unfortunately, many people still say that they are sinners.
Remove my skin and I won't cry, but you might. What am I?
Are you still practicing art ukifanya your engineering? Umezimix ama umeenda tu fully on art? Sasa najua hebu kwanza tutajia because najua huwezi taja wote. Just some of the people wenye, some of the celebs wenye umeweza ku reveal your art to them.
Jekroba bibi yake. Hiyo siku walifurahia mbaya. Mimi nilikuwa emotional mbaya sana.
Lilia.
Go and check that video guys. Nililia mbaya.
I was seeing kuna place ulikuwa unasema like BN ndo alikusaidia sana in building your career. Unaweza tuambie hiyo moment wenye ilikuanga?
We
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back. Now, KCB Foundation and Webuye East constituency have today teamed up to support youth through the 5 million shillings job creation program on a 1-to-1 ratio, with each contributing 2.5 million shillings towards the same. The program will see KCB Foundation introduce its Tuajiri technical skills and job creation initiative in the constituency, aimed at accelerating technical and vocational skills training as well as micro enterprises.
To date, 100 youth have been commissioned to receive National Industrial Training Authority (NITA) certified technical skills training at Matili Technical Training Institute, followed by business development training to nurture and grow micro enterprises locally. This initiative is set to be implemented in collaboration with the Webuye East National Government Constituency Development Fund, kicking off a transformative journey towards self-reliance and economic prosperity. Speaking during the commissioning, Deputy Chief of Party at KCB Foundation, Bernard Baraza, expressed optimism about the partnership as it will spur youth creativity and position them to become critical levels for sustained economic development.
Now, why we are here is to launch the first ever class in Webuye East constituency. We partner with the constituency national government CDF office to sponsor 100 students to undergo technical training in one of the local institutions called Matili Technical and Vocational Education Training Institution. And today is the first launch of the first cohort of young people, comprising mainly of women, around 70% of them young women of ages 18 to 34. So they're able to acquire different skills in hairdressing, in masonry, in carpentry, and also electrical works and beauty, hair and beauty. So we are thrilled because we are supporting young people to acquire skills so that they're able to employ themselves, as the program says, to Tuajiri. And as they grow, the program, as they grow in their workforce, they're able to employ other people. And this, the purpose of this is to try and help address the issue of youth unemployment among young people in this particular country. And currently, we are in all the 7 counties. And in this particular 2024-2025 year, we are training around 20,000 young people in workforce development, and also doing the same with around 25,000 MSMEs. So give or take, KCB Foundation, Mastercard Foundation, is reaching out to close to 40,000 young people in these 2 years, so that we're able to really help them to be able to get dignified and fulfilling employment among themselves.
On his part, Webuye East Member of Parliament Honorable Martin Wanyonyi acclaimed the Tuajiri program as a transformative step towards empowering youths and improving their livelihoods.
Na mimi nataka niwashukuru nyinyi wote ambao mmequalify kuwa part of this first team. Kuna watu wengi ambao waliapply, lakini nyinyi ndio mmepata. And so when you have this opportunity, hii si nafasi ambayo ni kidogo. You are the best, and there's so many others ambao tumeacha huko nje na umepata. Mimi ni kuomba tu hii nafasi itumie vizuri. Hii nafasi ensure ya kwamba unasoma the full course, ili vile ambavyo tumekubaliana na KCB hapa tena turudi to celebrate ile graduation yenu.
Notably, the initiative targets 70% of its participants to be young women, reflecting the program's commitment to inclusivity and recognizing the pivotal role women play in driving social and economic change.
National Government Constituency Development Fund in Mandera East has launched a 50 million shillings bursary to support needy students. The initiative, spearheaded by Area Member of Parliament, aimed to improve access to education for over 2,500 students in secondary schools, colleges and universities.
The National Government Constituency Development Fund in Mandera East has launched a Kenya shillings 50 million bursary fund to support the most needy students in the constituency. Speaking at Mandera Technical Training Institute during the launch, Mandera East Member of Parliament emphasized that the initiative aimed to improve access to education by funding students in secondary schools, colleges and universities.
We are trying to cater for extremely poor and needy people. so that at least we can empower our people to the level where they can at least, pay bursaries for the students and at least have their daily bread.
The MP reaffirmed his commitment to ensuring that no students stay at home due to lack of school fees. To ensure fairness and transparency, the registrator announced that he would collaborate with the community elders to make sure all eligible students benefit from the bursary. Mandera County Commissioner Henry Ochako, who was present at the launch, commended the MP for prioritizing education in the region. He further urged other leaders in the county to follow suit in promoting access to education. Parent from Mandela East expressed gratitude for the bursary, noting that it would significantly ease the financial burden of school fees on struggling families.
Tunarudishia shukrani mheshimiwa, maana hatukuwa tumekutana watu wengi namna hiyo. Naona hiyo pesa itasaidia maskini, hasa wakati ambayo tulikuwa na ukame ya miaka 5. Hii ni fursa mzuri, tunamrudishia mkono.
The program is expected to benefit over 2,500 students enrolled in universities and colleges across Mandela East. Paris Kigo, GBS News.
Government is taking steps to recognize and address the burden of unpaid care work, which mostly falls on women and girls. Now, finding from Women Rise Initiative's global research project on women health and work will be integrated into Kenya National Care Policy. The policy, awaiting cabinet approval, aims to recognize and compensate care work family.
The Department of Gender and Affirmative Action has sought to incorporate the findings of the Women Rise Initiative to the Kenya National Care Policy, which seeks to address the long-standing issue of unpaid domestic and care work predominantly performed by women and girls. Speaking during the opening of the end of project workshop, the State Department of Gender and Affirmative Action, Secretary Gender Dr. Josephine Obonyo said that despite the triple threats of climate change, conflict, and COVID-19 slowing progress on gender equality, the commitment to improving women's rights remains strong.
The government, through the State Department for Gender and Affirmative Action, has developed a care policy, national care policy. Now, this care policy, just like the researches that have been done in this program, look into the impact of care work, both paid and unpaid, for women, both employed and unemployed, in the health sector, at home, across all social structures, to see, and basically it was to see how it impacts on the national, how it impacts on the national economy, but at the same time the impact on these women. Now, what happens is the study was actually informed by the time use survey, and this time use survey indicated, which was done post-COVID.
The Women Rise Initiative has over the last 3 years fostered action-oriented, gender transformative research to explore the link between women's health and their paid or unpaid work within COVID-19 context. The initiative had 23 research teams from Africa, Latin America and Asia within Canadian partner institution and managed by African Population and Health Research Center and Graduate School of Media and Communication, Aga Khan University. Women Rise emphasizes knowledge mobilization, capacity building and networking to ensure impactful outcomes.
You've seen here and you'll see in the next few days scientists from 16 different developing countries, and in addition are collaborating with Canadian researchers to study and unpack and understand the interface between women's health and women's work during and post-COVID-19. The world is now facing so many complex development problems that require scientific collaboration to be able to understand the problems and to identify solutions and interventions to solve these problems.
The Time User Survey 2021 report by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics indicates that women spend at least 3 hours and 36 minutes more than their male counterparts per day on unpaid care and domestic work, which has significantly impacted on women's physical, mental and economic well-being, increasing stress and fatigue. Vivian Scalabo, GBS News.
It's time for us to take a short break. Keep your feedback streaming into our social media handles at GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 21144. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
Hello everyone!
Welcome to Fun, Fun, Fun. Alright class, friends, do you know what we're going to make today? Yes, we're going to make a star. Now let's begin our class. Time to make. First, you're going to fold your paper into triangles. Ta-da! Now we are done with the star.
AS and A levels is a qualification program that is advanced. That is after one has completed the high GCSE program, then they advise to continue for AS and A level. AS typically is a 1-year program, and A levels is done in the 2nd year after completing the AS level. And this one equips the student with the knowledge that is recommended for the university and also by employers outside the countries or within the country.
And the question of the day is, can you survive without internet?
Ngumu, plus kwa chile hizo story tu zote zikupite ni ngori.
Niwaambie ukweli. Like hii ni kama kuambia mtu mwenye alikuwa amezoea kushindana nguo, mwambie toa nguo ushinde uchi. Hiyo huwa tricky kwa sababu sasa like ilikuwa imekuingia kwa kichwa kabisa.
Mimi nimesomea day school na niocha. So kukuwa na simu hadi ni ile katururu, si smartphone, ni ile katururu.
Sasa unaweza kaa holi ya bila simu.
Kuspend hii most of the time kwa simu. Also you need to run skills. So nilipatana na later hapa nikapo-apply huko. And then I started learning skills.
Okay.
Digital skills.
Yes, hadi siku mbili haiwezi.
Kwa wiki naachilia hata kama ni siku mbili ama sometimes na extend to wiki nzima. Napata shiki simu yangu.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back now to international news. In Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, the situation is getting worse as Rwanda-backed M23 rebels have captured the city of Goma. Hospitals are overcrowded with injured people and running out of supplies. The rebels are now moving towards Bukavu, and many fear the violence will spread, putting even more lives in danger.
To joke to M23, my bro. Not joke. That is army for the people. Not joke.
The violence in eastern Congo is escalating, with M23 rebels taking control of Goma, a major city that has long been a center of aid for the region.
Move, quickly, quickly. Jump, quickly, quickly, quickly. Hey, quickly.
Goma's hospitals are overwhelmed with more than 2,000 people injured. The main hospital, run by the international community of the Red Cross, is stretched beyond capacity. Tents have been set up outside to treat the wounded, many of them injured by bullets and heavy gun firearms. The city is facing serious shortages of water, electricity, and medical supplies. The airport is closed and roads are blocked, making it almost impossible for aid to reach those in need. Around 4 million people have been displaced in eastern Congo, and many are now trapped in cities like Goma, caught between the violence and the lack of humanitarian aid. Thousands have crossed into neighboring Rwanda, seeking safety from the fighting. The international community has condemned the actions of M23 rebels, but pressure on Rwanda, which is accused of supporting them, has been weaker than in previous years. The United Nations has raised concerns over executions and reports of sexual violence carried out by the rebels, adding to the already dire situation in the region. As the M23 rebels continue to advance, the situation in eastern Congo grows more desperate. Hospitals are overflowing, aid is scarce, and civilians are paying the price. The world is watching, but will enough be done to stop the bloodshed? Reporting for GBS News, Irene Juguna.
U.S. President Donald Trump announced on Sunday that he will cut off funding to South Africa over concerns about controversial Bill Now Act in that manner, which makes it easier for the state to seize land in the public interest. Trump criticized the treatment of certain groups in South Africa and vowed to suspend U.S. financial aid until a full investigation is conducted. South African officials responded, emphasizing that the law is in line with policies in other democratic nations.
U.S. President Donald Trump said on Sunday, without citing evidence, that certain classes of people in South Africa were being treated very badly and that he would cut off funding for the country until the matter is investigated.
Terrible things are happening in South Africa. The leadership is doing some terrible things, some horrible things. So that's under investigation right now. We'll make a determination. And until such time as we find out what South Africa is doing, they're taking away land, they're confiscating land, and actually they're doing things that are perhaps far worse than that.
The United States obligated nearly $440 million US in assistance to South Africa in 2023, the most recent US government data showed. Last month, South Africa President Cyril Ramaphosa signed into law a bill that would make it easy for the state to appropriate land in the public interest. The law aims to address racial disparities in land ownership that persist 3 decades after apartheid demise in 1994. Last month, Ramaphosa said he was not worried about the country's relationship with Trump. He said he had spoken to Trump after the latter's election victory and looked forward to working with his administration. During his first administration, Trump said the U.S. would investigate unproven large-scale killings of the white farmers in South Africa and violent takeovers of land. Pretoria at the same time said Trump was misinformed. Trump's threat to cutting funding to South Africa over land exploitation has sparked tensions, with both nations maintaining differing views on the issue. The situation highlights ongoing debates about land reform and racial disparities, while diplomatic relations between the U.S. and the South Africa remain in focus. Paris Kigo, GBS News.
The World Health Organization is calling on countries to help bring the United States back into the agency after Donald Trump, the president, decided to pull out. Now, the move has raised concerns over funding and the future of the global health programs.
The World Health Organization is urging world leaders to encourage the United States to reconsider its decision to leave the agency. Tedros says that losing the U.S., which contributes nearly 14% of whose budget, could have a serious impact on global health efforts. He believes that with enough support, the U.S. may rejoin. A WHO report revealed that key health programs, including those for polio, tuberculosis, and emergency responses in places like Ukraine and Sudan, rely heavily on U.S. funding. Some of these programs could now face cuts. Ryan warned that this is not just about money, it's about global cooperation. During a private meeting, whose officials stressed that if the funding gap isn't filled, the agency could struggle financially by 2026. Whose finance director George Kirasiao warned that current spending levels are not sustainable. Trump has criticized WHO for how it handled the COVID-19 pandemic, but Tedros defended the agency's response. He reminded leaders that WHO had alerted the world about the virus early. Despite the challenges, WHO's remain focused on fighting major health threats including Ebola, Marburg virus, and Mpox. Some experts say this could be a chance for WHO to expand its donor base and improve global health funding. But for now, world leaders are being urged to work together to keep this life-saving program running. As WHO looks for solution, the question remains, will the U.S. return? For now, the global health community is hoping for a change of heart. Joy Korea, GBS News.
Today, a bomb has detonated in a residential apartment in Moscow, where one person succumbed and 4 others are critically injured. One notable official who died in the blast is a separatist leader who is accused by Ukraine for collaborating with Russian military in the occupied territories of the eastern Ukraine. Russian officials have categorized the incident as an assassination attempt. Here is more on the scene.
Today, a bomb hit a lobby of a luxurious residential building in the Russian capital of Moscow. One person was killed as a result of the blast, while 4 others are seriously wounded. A pro-Russian separatist named Armen Sharkisyan was confirmed to be killed. Sharkisyan is an Armenian-born de facto leader of a separatist group in the Donetsk region. Sharkisyan is accused by Ukraine of collaborating and aiding Russia's invasion of Ukraine and the occupation of the Donetsk region. The Ukrainian Security Services, or commonly called the SBU, have referred to Sharkisyan as a militant who is participating in the war. It is said that he allegedly supplies weapons to the Russian front. This assassination comes after a senior Russian military official, General Igor Kirillov, has been assassinated outside his apartment with a scooter that was rigged with a bomb. Ukraine was responsible for the assassination. Russian officials are investigating this incident. The death of Sharkisyan will be a major blow to the separatist militias in the Donetsk region, who are fighting in a war that seems far from over. This is Abdihamid Ali, GBS News.
The United Nations is sounding the alarm over the escalating crisis in Haiti, where violence, natural disasters, and displacement are taking a devastating toll on the country's most vulnerable population, especially children. Thousands of people have been forced from their homes, and humanitarian needs are at all-time high. UNICEF reports that nearly 1 in 8 children in the country is displaced, while gang violence is surging. Meanwhile, the UN has launched a plea for urgent international support.
The United Nations is warning that the situation in Haiti is getting worse. Violence, natural disasters, and people being forced out of their homes are making life very difficult for many people, especially children. According to UNICEF, about 1 in 8 children in Haiti has been forced to leave their homes.
Our humanitarian partners tell us the situation for children in Haiti continues to be dire. The number of children internally displaced in the country has increased by nearly 50% since September, surging to more than 500,000 children. You'll recall that UNICEF says approximately 1 in 8 children in Haiti is now currently displaced. Some 3 million children need humanitarian assistance, including 1.2 million boys and girls in the capital, Port-au-Prince.
The violence in the country is also causing more children to join gangs. It is estimated that half of the gang members in Haiti are children.
The police killed my friends, my father, my uncles, so I'm fighting for revenge. I shouldn't be in a gang, but this is all we have in Haiti. We're hoping to control the airport again, and then control the whole country.
UNICEF says that the number of children in gangs has gone up by 70% in just 1 year. The country is also dealing with floods. Since November, floods have affected almost 330,000 people, killing many and destroying thousands of homes. The United Nations is asking for nearly $1 billion to help 3.9 million people in Haiti this year.
This year, we are appealing for $908 million to help 3.9 million people in Haiti. We urge the international community to scale up its support so that we and our humanitarian partners can support the people of Haiti who need it.
They are calling on the international community to provide more support to help those in need. Reporting for GBS News, Irene Juguna.
Israel has conducted multiple airstrikes in the occupied West Bank. Multiple buildings in the Jenin area have been destroyed. Illegal settlers have stormed a cemetery and set a mosque on fire. While in Syria, a deadly car bomb has claimed the lives of 15 people. Abdi Ahmed reports.
In this video, you can see an airstrike happening. This airstrike seems all too familiar. It looks like a scene in Gaza, except it isn't. This airstrike is happening in the occupied West Bank. Ever since the ceasefire in Gaza began, Israel has shifted their military operation to the occupied region, calling it the Iron Wall. The Israeli military said their aim is to target armed militias. 23 buildings were destroyed in the densely populated area of the Jenin refugee camp. Most of the airstrikes have occurred in the residential areas. The Palestinian Authority has condemned the military action, calling it a brutal scene. As the airstrikes were happening, roadblocks and checkpoints were put in place throughout the region. A group of settlers were also part of the offensive. It is reported that a cemetery in the Silwan town was stormed by some Israeli settlers. Others have wreaked havoc by setting a mosque on fire. In Syria, a deadly coordinated car bomb happened in the northern city of Manjib. 15 people have been killed in the deadly attack, 14 of whom are women. No group has claimed the responsibility of the attack. The attack happened on the same day Syria's interim president Ahmed al-Sharra performed Umrah in the holy city of Mecca in Saudi Arabia. The question remains, what will the international community do to deter the Israeli military campaign in the West Bank? What about sanctions against the illegal settlers? Will the deadly car attack have exposed Syria's volatile instability? Only time will tell how these incidents may impact the future of the occupied West Bank and Syria. This is Abdi Hamid Ali, GBS News.
Protests have erupted once again in Georgia as thousands take to the streets against the ruling government. Now, police have cracked down on demonstrators, arresting opposition leaders and using force to break the crowds. The protests, which have calmed down in recent weeks, are now back in full force.
The protests in Georgia turned tense as police moved in to break up the demonstration. Among those arrested were opposition leader Nick Amelia and former Tbilisi Mayor Gigi Ugulava. According to reports, police used force on demonstrators. But despite the arrest, people refused to back down. Later in the night, more demonstrators gathered outside Parliament, continuing their call for democracy and fair elections. The European Union Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas called the crackdown unacceptable and said Georgia is not meeting the expectation of a country that wants to join the EU. Last week, the EU took action by suspending visa-free travel for Georgian officials, setting down operation against protesters, politicians, and the media. In November, riot police used tear gas and water cannons to disperse crowds. More than 400 people were arrested back then, and human rights group says the government has been trained to silence those who speak out. As tensions rise, Georgia's future remains uncertain. The protesters says they will keep fighting for democracy, no matter the risk. Joy Korea, GBS News.
And now, to our favorite segment of the show, the sports news. Let's get sporty. To the sports news now, Gor Mahia Football Club have today unveiled their new coach, Mika. Now, the Kenya's team, with a following over 20 million fan base, today unveiled their new manager taking over the Marquinhos tree from Brazil. The new coach was unveiled at the Gor Mahia headquarters in Nairobi, as Davis Karani reports.
There is motivation for me, you know, because if we play without fans, without supporters, you don't have this drive. So I like it.
The Kenya's longest-serving Giants have today unveiled their new manager, Mika Mihic, a citizen from Croatia, and his responsibility is aimed at taking Gor to the international levels and has promised to bring change to this second oldest team in the country.
I will make them proud, happy, and I want them to be with us maximum what they can, you know. It's 10, 20, 30,000, but I need them, you know. I need 12 players on the pitch. They are, and I know they don't love the club.
His unveiling and the confidence that has been received by Gor officials, led by the club's chairman Ambrose Rachier, who is yearning for Gor to top the league by the end of the season.
The aim of Gor Mahia since inception is to win leagues and also to develop players and then to improve our financial status. I've had a very useful discussion with Sinisha Miha on this, and I'm so impressed that he knows really what we want. So what we expect is, at the moment we are third in the log. We don't want to be there. In a few days' time, we want to be at the top. And you know, when we get to the top, it's very difficult to dislodge.
And that's all we had for you tonight at GBS News at 9. It is always a pleasure having you on board. Let's do this again next time, same channel. My name is Stephen George. Our sign language interpreter tonight has been Paul Mathenge. Have yourself a wonderful night.